KCCI's Complete Commitment 2020 team coverage tonight. Max Dieknight spoke one-on-one with both Mayor Pete Buttigieg and Senator Amy Klobuchar.
And Laura Terrell shows us several other last-minute candidate events. But first, let's go to Bo Bowman with the last-minute pushes from the Biden and Sanders campaigns.
Candidates are less than 24 hours away from finding out who will walk away from Iowa with a victory, a win that would put them one step closer to a head-to-head battle with President Trump.
Everyone knows who Donald Trump is. We have to let them know who we are.
Democratic presidential candidates spent the last day campaigning in Iowa before the caucuses all over the state, trying to convince those voters still on the fence. Former Vice President Joe Biden ended Sunday in Des Moines at Hyatt Middle School in front of hundreds of potential caucus goers.
He's a guy who's gotten things done and can continue to get things done.
He was joined by former Iowa Governor Tom Vilsack, who endorsed Biden in November.
I think that people understand that he's the most electable of all the candidates. We got to win this thing, and he's in the best position to do that.
Some Biden supporters are optimistic about Monday's caucus, but don't doubt the results will be tight.
It's going to be hard for any one of them to be viable because there are these strong campaigns that are going to be dividing up the caucus people.
Tomorrow night is the beginning. It is the beginning of the end for Donald Trump.
Senator Bernie Sanders is trying to make up for lost time after sitting through the impeachment trial in Washington, D.C. all week. Today, he went on a last-second marathon through the state with stops in Cedar Rapids, Iowa City, and Newton before finishing in Des Moines with a Super Bowl watch party at the Ingersoll Tap.
We look forward to a victory tomorrow night. Thank you all very much.
Now, of course, this is an extremely close race. Checking in now with KCCI's Max Dieknight. And Max, you followed two candidates today who are hoping to ride some recent momentum to a caucus night win.
Well, that's exactly right. Pete Buttigieg and Amy Klobuchar's supporters are certainly passionate. 2,000 of Mayor Pete's supporters filled an auditorium at Lincoln High School this afternoon. Meanwhile, Amy Klobuchar just wrapped up a Super Bowl watch party in Johnston. We spoke one-on-one with each of them.
The Super Bowl of politics meets the actual Super Bowl, literally campaigning during the big game. Minnesota Senator Amy Klobuchar told a raucous crowd she would return to Iowa tomorrow night. Klobuchar has to race back to D.C. for the Senate's impeachment trial.
If you want someone that's going to look at those states that we need to win, that's me. It's not flyover country to me here in the Midwest. I live here.
Klobuchar told KCCI healthcare is the issue that separates her from her competitors.
I just don't think we should blow it up. I don't agree with some of my opponents who want to kick 149 million Americans off their current health insurance in 4 years.
Just hours earlier on the south side of Des Moines, Pete Buttigieg was greeted by a crowd of more than 2,000. The former mayor telling KCCI he's glad the highly anticipated CNN Des Moines Register Iowa poll was pulled.
Certainly a good thing that it was caught, and also a good thing that the network and the newspaper took what must have been a very difficult step of deciding not to go forward.
Buttigieg says he believes, unlike Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders, he can unite the country.
You don't have to choose between the establishment or a revolution, that we can move on from the politics of the past and also do it in a way that includes more and more people in what we're trying to do.
And by the way, Lincoln High School, where the former mayor was holding that rally today, is going to be packed yet again tomorrow. That's because it's a very popular caucus precinct. Steve?
All right, thank you very much, Max. Several other candidates were also campaigning across the state today. KCCI's Laura Terrell is in studio now with their last-minute messages.
Steve, Senator Elizabeth Warren is also trying to get to as many Iowans as she can before the caucuses. She talked about the importance of eliminating student loan debt while speaking at an event at Simpson College in Indianola. Senator Warren then headed up to Ames for an event at Iowa State University. After that, she traveled to Des Moines for a Super Bowl watch party at Hy-Vee Hall. Tom Steyer campaigned in eastern Iowa today. He touched on the impeachment trial of President Donald Trump and senators voting Friday not to hear witnesses.
This has always been about the people of the United States. We're the jury. We're the people who get to hear the evidence. And if they won't let us do it, let me just ask you, has anyone in this room ever heard of a trial where they don't allow witnesses? That's ridiculous.
Steyer started the need to impeach movement less than 10 months after President Trump took office. After months of saying he would not run for president, Steyer jumped into the race last July. Andrew Yang also on a blitz across the state. He made a stop in Ames this morning. He then headed up to Mason City, Cresco, Decorah, and then Waterloo. These 4 candidates, Michael Bennet, Michael Bloomberg, Tulsi Gabbard, and Deval Patrick, were campaigning outside of Iowa. Bloomberg has been public about his campaign's focus on the Super Tuesday states instead of Iowa and New Hampshire.
And the Des Moines Register has decided not to release the results of its highly anticipated final Iowa poll. This comes after concerns that Pete Buttigieg was omitted in at least one interview for the poll. CBS News released its final Iowa battleground tracker poll this morning. Vice President Joe Biden and Senator Bernie Sanders are tied with 25% support. Former Mayor Pete Buttigieg follows with 21%. Senator Elizabeth Warren has 16%. And Senator Amy Klobuchar rounds out the top 5 with 1%.
If you plan to caucus in Iowa tomorrow for a Democrat, there are some changes you need to know. First, you have to be a registered Democrat to participate, but you can change your party affiliation at your caucus site on caucus night. Double check your caucus location, folks, because it may have changed from 4 years ago. And be sure to fill out and turn in a presidential preference card when your caucus is all over. Our Republicans are caucusing too. You must be a registered Republican to take part in their caucuses. If you plan to register on caucus night, the GOP asks that you bring an ID.